Yo, it's the King. Welcome back to another video. So I just saw the Netflix original series Daybreak, and I'll be honest with you guys, from the trailer I was like, this is gonna be hella boring. And it is, in the beginning it is, but it definitely improves as the show goes on. That being said, this show is by no means this great post-apocalyptic drama that I think it sees itself as. Now I can say that they gave enough of shit about their characters and the story. I did find myself being caught off guard by a few scenes and wasn't constantly thinking about how predictable the story is. I mean, cause goddamn man, it is hella predictable. I won't go too deep into the story. That being said, I will be spoiling the majority of the major plot points, and if that's something you care about, please go give the show a watch first before continuing. My loyal subjects, you have been warned. Daybreak takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where anybody over the age of 18 has either turned into slime or goo. I believe that's what they called it. Anybody that wasn't turned into goo was turned into this world's version of zombies, and they're called ghoulies. They later explain that they're not zombies and getting bit by one has no effect on you. They don't do a good job of distinguishing between the two, and it doesn't matter anyway because every scene that the ghoulies, see look, I'm already getting them confused, appear in, they're just used as props in the same ways that zombies are used in every zombie movie ever. A way to try to be different and then proceed to fail on every single level. Like, I get what they try to do and eventually they do tie into the story later on, but by that time the audience is so bored and couldn't care less about what's going on. I mean, that's how I felt, and I still feel that way. Another thing about the ghoulies, they do repeat the last thought they were thinking before they died, or supposedly died. Now, I don't know if that was their way of distinguishing between ghoulies and zombies, but it still doesn't matter anyway. My point's still valid. So this speaking from the grave, it is important later on, and I will explain it as we get further into the story. But for right now, let's get into episode 1. To start us off, we're introduced to Josh, our main protagonist, who goes on a 10-minute exposition binge in the beginning of the first episode. And already from the start, I could tell what type of show this was going to be, with Josh breaking the fourth wall to talk to the audience. But that's not the main issue, and I'll get into the fourth wall breaks later. He explains how it's been 6 or so months since LA was nuked and how the kids have divided up into different groups. These groups really don't serve a whole lot of purpose with exception to the jock group. They're comprised of the remaining sports clubs united under one leader. Some of the other groups have tiny roles within the story, but nothing too major. As they arise, I'll point them out and mention them here and there. Once we actually get into the story, Josh goes on about how the apocalypse is the best thing to happen to him, and he explains how he survived so long, mainly from drinking his own piss. Eventually, he runs into these 5 jackasses who are part of the jock group. They're a subdivision who runs around as Turbo's lackeys, and they're never taken seriously, and damn near all of them are killed off before half the show's over. Josh confronts them because he believes that they have his boo thing, Miss Sam Dean, held prisoner. Sam is only introduced in flashbacks at first, and the way that they go about it in this scene is just lazy and uninspired. They tell Josh to entertain them, and Josh decides to tell them the story between him and Sam and how they fell in love. But they do this entirely through flashbacks. Don't get me wrong, I don't care if screenwriters use flashbacks in their movies if it's executed well and it moves the plot forward. But here they feel the need to keep feeding you more and more information that could have been shown in the current plot. To me, writing like this brings your entire story to a halt and takes the experience away from the audience. It's so lazy. But whatever, it turns out that he was just hallucinating that it was his bitch stuck in the box, but it was actually Angelica.
Any of you shit dips move, and we have Burning Man Festival early.
Angelica is a 10-year-old evil genius with a flexible morality. At first, I wasn't sold on Olivia. I hope I'm not fucking up your name, but I just wasn't 100% satisfied with her performance. In the beginning, I did feel it was a little rocky. At least I felt that way at first. At times, I did feel she was trying too hard, but that could have easily just been up to the direction. Overall, I didn't hate her on screen. She definitely brought her own energy to every scene, and I was never really bored when she was talking. As far as child actors go, her performance is up there and a step up from the typical child actor. I think she could have had a better performance, given better direction, but who cares what I think? I'm just some dude that complains on movies and TV shows about whatever the hell I want to. Alright, moving on from the flashback, it's revealed that one of the golfers is extremely allergic to nuts, and Josh tricks him into believing that he has his sword laced with peanut butter. It was so damn obvious that the peanut allergy would come into play later because they replayed it over and over in the flashback. Like, I can't help but assume that they think their audiences are babies who need to be spoon-fed every detail just so they will understand what's being shown on screen. I get that they want to make sure everybody gets to enjoy this story, but for people like me who can't help but be distracted by this dumb shit, I don't understand why would you ruin one of your scenes because some of your audience members may feel lost. And it wasn't even hard to understand. Your average person would have got it. We don't need to be spoon-fed. information constantly. Anyway, Josh leaves disappointed because it wasn't Sam trapped in the box. Angelica follows him, and then we're introduced to Wesley, the gay samurai on the path to redemption. These fuckers alert the leader of the jock group, the big man himself, Turbo Bro Jock. He rallies his people and they go out looking for our trio of misfits. While the assholes are alerting Turbo, they escape back to Josh's hideout, and no, don't you fucking show a flashback.
Let's cut to the montage.
All this padding for what? Can we please just move on with the story? It's flashback after flashback after flashback. Before we move on, I want to take a minute to address all the issues I have with the fourth wall breaking. Well, not all of them, but just a couple of them. We'll get into a lot more later. This show has many things going for it and just as many things going against it. One of the major drawbacks in my opinion is the overusing of the breaking of the fourth wall, which, like the flashbacks done well and creative, is a useful way of telling a story. But when your show is littered with unnecessary and seemingly out of place breaking of the fourth wall, it loses all creative potential and falls flat on its ass. 95% of the time when Josh breaks the fourth wall, I lose all interest in what's going on. It takes you so out of place of the story, and at that point Josh doesn't even feel like a real character anymore. It just feels like he's there for the audience. There's times during an important plot moment where he'll just break the fourth wall for no reason, effectively taking all the tension out of the scene. Not that they earned it anyway. I do give credit where credit's due, and there were times I felt the usage of breaking the fourth wall was pretty good, but more on that in a later episode. To get us back on track, Turbo finds our group and he's beaten in a blood balloon fight. I probably should have mentioned earlier, but the zombies have a strong urge to follow the smell of blood. The problems with this and many zombie movies and shows like The Walking Dead play too lucid with their rules. It's rare that a zombie film adheres to its own rules that it sets place in the beginning. Take this scene for example. During the blood shower that they were giving Turbo, a nearby horde of zombies smells all the blood and rushes the jocks. To me, this is screenwriters and directors establishing early on their show's rules. The problem I have with that, I don't know how many scenes I've counted where blood has been spilled and not even one zombie appears. But as soon as it's convenient for the plot, a whole herd just pops up out of thin air. That shit annoys me. This is why I've never been a big fan of the zombie genre as a whole, because they use as lazy plot devices or any excuse to have some conflict. Your Movie Sucks makes some good points on this in his analysis of The Walking Dead. If you're curious or just want more information, he can explain it way better than I can. I personally enjoy all 4 parts, so if you're interested, just check it out. I'll put a link in the description. Sorry if I'm rambling off a little bit. So after the zombies attack the jocks, Josh splits up with Angelica and Wes. Right before they leave, Wes gazes into Turbo's eyes. You know the look. Us two characters clearly have history, but in order to build suspense, we're just gonna stare awkwardly at each other during every encounter. Whenever I see it, I'm just like, ugh. And once you know Wesley's gay, it's just so predictable at that point. They make plans to later rendezvous at the mall where Wes has told Josh he may be able to find Sam. So after getting cornered, Josh is searching for a place to hide when this motherfucker says, "Rex!" I guess he just knows a pair of Josh footprints when he see him. It couldn't be no animal, couldn't be one of the many zombies running around. It just automatically has to be Josh. And not to mention, does that bitch have a helmet on? I guess he just got that extra retina 20/20 vision, huh? I mean, come on, couldn't they really have thought of a better way of letting them find Josh? No, that's too hard. We're not gonna be logical, so we're just gonna have him find these one set of tracks in this big ass city, and it's just gonna happen to be Josh. Fuck logic. And plus, was the whole army behind you? Didn't y'all split up in this big ass city to find him? It's so counterproductive looking in the same place. After all of that foolishness, Josh gets cornered and Ford gives a pretty bad performance here in my opinion.
God, I can't believe I'm gonna get caught. And the worst part? I'd probably still be with Sam if I just went to that dumb football game.
Even though the acting was questionable, I was still looking forward to what was going to happen next. And guess what happened? A, they progressed the story like normal. B, they show a flashback. C, they show a flashback. Or D, they show a flashback. Hold up, let me drink some water on this. Give me a second. 10 seconds on the clock. With my wisely kingly knowledge, I'll say A.
Dumbass motherfucker.
For the most part, this flashback serves absolutely no purpose. It's just Josh regretting, blah, blah, blah. Sam, I love you, W. What makes me laugh is that I can guarantee you that the screenwriter's basic notes for this scene went something like that. What was all that? I should have went to the football game and I'd still be with Sam. It looked like you went to me. Did you not go? Are you not standing directly in front of the field right now? And what weirdo uses his girlfriend's full name as her contact in his phone? My girl will flip her shit if I have anything related to her full name in the contact. And I have to have hearts, stars, other bullshit like that. You telling me it's just Sam Dean playing in his phone? Fuck no, she's cheating. She's cheating on him. That's the only way I can fully believe that she's not mad about this dry ass contact. And look at the picture. What the hell is that? He didn't even try to get a cute picture. Bitch, you are ugh. When they bring us back from the flashback, he looks Turbo face to face, and then, like CinemaSins would say, with the power of boners, this motherfucker gets away from like 50 people on a skateboard. Once he runs off, he meets back up with Angelica and Wes at the mall. He saves them from a ghoulie. No, why would you let her run away with your only weapon? After that tragedy, Wesley says to Josh,
Hurry, Turbo's on my ass. No, he's not.
what? You seriously expect me to believe that you ran all this way without noticing that shit yourself? Didn't look back one time or question the sudden lack of loud vehicle engines behind you? Are you deaf and blind?
Your Majesty,
What, K2?
you shouldn't expect logic from a universe where a skateboard outruns dirt bikes in a truck.
Yep. Shortly after that, our second antagonist, Baron Triumph, shows up, who even Turbo's scared of. They try to end on a suspensive cliffhanger as Triumph pulls off his helmet, revealing who he actually is. Here's a perfect example where Josh breaking the fourth wall ruined any tension I was feeling during this scene. This is where you're introducing your big bad villain, who I actually found a little menacing, and your very next thought was to have Josh turn to the camera and say, "Ooh, what's life like in Apocalypse? It's never what you expect." All they had to do was literally just end the episode right there. I mean, yeah, after watching it, I know that that's not the real Triumph, but coming from a person who's just now watching the show, you just ruined the entire scene for them. You can't expect me to take your show seriously when the characters themselves don't. I feel the writers really dropped the ball with this one. Just from the first few episodes alone, I can tell that the show didn't have a great sense of self-identity and couldn't figure out what it wanted to be, so it tried to be many things. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the more we progress through the story, it gets better, and by the fourth episode, the show really begins to shine and take on its own identity. So yeah, I think that wraps it up for episode 1. I'm more or less done with the script for part 2 already, so you can expect that to be up within the coming weeks. I'd like to thank you for watching all the way to the end, and if you enjoyed this style of film reviewing, please leave a like and subscribe. Doing so helps our kingdom to keep growing and allows me to continue serving you, my loyal subjects. Leave a comment below for any suggestions for future videos. It has been your king. Until next time, later.